Welcome to Imagine BL Story. My name is Riev, and I'm wishing you a joyful, exciting, and love-filled holiday season. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy today's holiday special story. Mr. Blaine, I need you to find my daddy a partner. Blaine Goodwin looked up from his New Year's Eve retirement party checklist to find an 8-year-old girl standing in his office doorway, snow melting off her private school uniform and the kind of determined expression that usually preceded disaster. Outside, Chicago's December wind howled against the windows, rattling the glass. The city was buried under its third snowstorm in a week, and somehow this child had navigated it alone to reach his office. I'm sorry, sweetheart, but I don't take clients under 18. I'm not the client. My daddy is. She marched in, dropped a heavy envelope on his desk, and sat in the chair across from him with perfect posture. Her Omega scent, young and undefined, all vanilla sweetness, filled the small space. Daddy said I could hire anyone I wanted to help him, so I'm hiring you. Blaine set down his pen carefully. 10 years as a professional matchmaker had taught him to recognize trouble, and this child radiated it. His own Omega instincts, usually well-controlled, prickled with concern. Does your father know you're here? He knows I'm interviewing matchmakers. He doesn't know I already decided on you. She folded her hands in her lap. I'm Emma Hensley. My daddy is Declan Hensley, and you're the best matchmaker in the city, so you're going to help him. Declan Hensley. Blaine knew the name. Everyone in Chicago did. Real estate mogul Alpha, widowed 5 years ago in a car accident that had also left him with some kind of brain injury. The tabloids had covered it extensively, though Hensley himself had disappeared from public life afterward. Emma, I appreciate the confidence, but I'm retiring in 11 days. New Year's Eve is my last night in business. I'm not taking new clients. That's why you're perfect. Emma leaned forward, and Blaine caught a whiff of her distress beneath the vanilla. You don't need the money, so you'll actually care about finding the right person. And Daddy needs the right person, not just anyone. I'm sure your father is capable of finding his own matches. He's not. Her voice went quiet. He doesn't even try anymore. He just works and takes care of me and pretends he's fine. But he's lonely, Mr. Blaine. I can tell. His scent is always sad now. Something in Blaine's chest tightened. He'd built his entire career on understanding loneliness, on finding the perfect match for people who'd given up on finding it themselves. But he'd also built it on strict professional boundaries, and taking a case out of pity for a child was crossing about 15 of them. How did you even find me? He asked instead. I Googled, Best Omega Matchmaker Chicago never fails, and your name came up 6 times. Then I read all your interviews and watched your TED Talk about compatibility algorithms. She said it matter-of-factly, like 8-year-olds researching matchmakers was perfectly normal. You have a 93% success rate. That's higher than anyone else. It's 94%, actually. Even better. She pushed the envelope toward him. There's a deposit in there. $50,000. My inheritance from my mom. Daddy doesn't know I'm spending it, so we have to work fast. Blaine opened the envelope. Sure enough, a certified check for $50,000 made out to his company. He should refuse. Should tell this precocious child to go home and let the adults handle things. Instead, he heard himself ask, why me specifically? Emma's expression shifted. Something vulnerable beneath the determination. Her Omega scent spiked with anxiety. Because you're retiring. Because you probably understand about endings and new beginnings. And because... She hesitated. Because Daddy can't see faces anymore. Since the accident. He has a condition. And all the other matchmakers I called said that would make it too hard to find someone. But you didn't hang up when I mentioned it in my email. Blaine hadn't seen any email from an Emma Hensley. But he wasn't about to correct her. Prosopagnosia, he said quietly. Face blindness. Yeah. He recognizes people by their voices and how they smell and how they move. But not faces. Emma's eyes were too old for 8. Most people think that means he can't fall in love anymore. But that's stupid. Love isn't about faces. Daddy says he fell in love with Mama because she smelled like cinnamon and her laugh made him feel warm. No, love wasn't about faces. Blaine looked at the check. At this child who loved her father enough to spend her inheritance. At the retirement gala checklist that suddenly felt hollow. A New Year's Eve party celebrating the end of his career, surrounded by successful matches he'd made for everyone except himself. Outside, snow continued to fall over Chicago, blanketing the city in white. One last case. One last chance to do what he did best. 11 days, he said. I'll give you until New Year's Eve. But if your father and I don't find a suitable match by midnight, I'm returning your deposit and retiring as planned. Agreed. Emma's whole face lit up, her scent brightening with joy. Agreed. She stood, offered her hand to shake like a tiny businesswoman, and then paused at the door. Oh, and Mr. Blaine? Daddy doesn't know I hired you yet. I need you to call him and pretend you heard he was looking. He's too proud to accept help he thinks I arranged. Of course she did. Blaine waited until Emma left, then pulled up Declan Hensley's file. The one his assistant had started when the first inquiry email had come through 3 days ago. Not from Emma. From Declan himself. The email was brief. Heard you're the best. Not sure I believe in matchmaking, but my daughter thinks I need help. Would you consider taking one last client before retirement? So Declan knew. Was cooperating with his daughter's plan, but wanted to give Emma the illusion of control. Blaine smiled despite himself. This family was going to be interesting. For the first meeting, they agreed to meet at the client's house. Declan Hensley's penthouse overlooked Lake Michigan. All floor-to-ceiling windows showcasing the frozen expanse and snow-covered city beyond. The Christmas lights from Navy Pier glittered in the distance, refracted through falling snow. The man himself answered the door. Tall, dark-haired, wearing jeans and a sweater that somehow looked expensive despite being casual. There was a scar along his temple, faint but visible, and his eyes tracked slightly to the left of Blaine's face before settling on his shoulder. His alpha scent hit Blaine immediately. Cedar and winter air, crisp and overwhelming. Blaine's Omega instincts responded before he could control them. A flutter of interest he firmly suppressed. Professional. Stay professional. Mr. Goodwin? Declan's voice was deep, careful. Mr. Hensley, thank you for seeing me. Call me Declan, please. He stepped back, and Blaine caught the way he tilted his head slightly, processing Blaine's voice, his scent, his movement. I apologize in advance. I'll need you to speak so I can orient to where you are. I can't rely on visual cues. Of course. Blaine moved into the apartment, deliberately making noise so Declan could track him. His Omega scent, jasmine and something soft, mingled with Declan's alpha presence in the warm space. And call me Blaine. Blaine. Declan closed the door, turned toward him with uncanny precision. His nostrils flared slightly, scenting. Emma said you're the best matchmaker in Chicago. She also said you're retiring, which makes me wonder why you'd take my case. Your daughter is very persuasive. That's a diplomatic way of saying she ambushed you in your office with my credit card information. Blaine laughed. She used her inheritance, actually. Claimed you didn't know about it. I know about everything Emma does. I just pretend not to so she feels clever. Declan gestured toward the living room. Would you like coffee? Tea? I promise not to poison it. Coffee would be great. They settled in the kitchen. Stunning marble and steel that looked like something from a magazine. Declan moved through it with practiced ease, clearly familiar with every detail even without being able to see them properly. His alpha scent grew stronger in the enclosed space, and Blaine had to consciously regulate his breathing. This was why he never dated clients. Professional distance was impossible when biology got involved. How much did Emma tell you? Declan asked, measuring coffee grounds by touch and memory. That you're widowed, that you have prosopagnosia from the accident, that you're lonely but won't admit it. She's not wrong. Declan's hands stilled on the coffee maker. My wife, my Omega, died 5 years ago. The same accident that damaged my fusiform gyrus, the part of the brain that processes faces. I can see perfectly fine otherwise. I just can't recognize people by their faces anymore. But you recognize them other ways. Voice, scent, movement patterns, posture. Declan started the coffee brewing. His alpha scent shifted. Something bitter underneath, like old grief. I've learned to adapt. But dating is complicated when you can't remember what someone looks like 5 minutes after meeting them. And when your alpha instincts are telling you to scent and claim, but you can't even recognize your potential mate across a room. Blaine watched him work, efficient, controlled, clearly uncomfortable with the vulnerability. Emma thinks you've given up. Emma thinks I need saving. There's a difference. Do you? Need saving? Declan turned toward him, and even though his gaze landed somewhere near Blaine's ear, it felt direct, intense. His scent spiked with something Blaine couldn't quite identify. I need my daughter to stop worrying about me. If hiring a matchmaker accomplishes that, then yes. I need saving. The coffee maker beeped. Declan poured 2 cups without looking, muscle memory guiding him. You don't believe I can find you someone, Blaine said. I don't believe anyone can find me someone. No offense to your profession. None taken. Most people come to me skeptical. Blaine accepted the coffee cup, perfectly prepared, somehow. But I have a 94% success rate for a reason. And the 6%? Weren't ready to be found. Blaine met his eyes, even though Declan was looking at his shoulder. Are you ready, Declan? Silence stretched between them. Outside, snow fell heavily over the city, coating the windows. Finally, Declan said, I don't know, but Emma deserves a father who tries. So I'm trying. It was honest. More honest than most clients on their first meeting. Blaine pulled out his tablet, trying to ignore the way Declan's alpha scent made his heart beat faster. Then let's start with the basics. What are you looking for in a partner? I have no idea. Humor me. Declan sat across from him, hands wrapped around his coffee. His scent settled. Less bitter now, more contemplative. Someone patient. Someone who doesn't mind that I can't recognize their face. Someone who understands that Emma comes first, always. Someone whose scent doesn't make me want to run in the opposite direction. Scent is important to you. It's all I have now. I can't see beauty anymore, not the way other people do. But I can smell honesty, fear, attraction. Declan's gaze drifted toward Blaine's general direction. Scent doesn't lie. Blaine's Omega instincts hummed. He pushed them down. What else? Someone who doesn't expect me to be who I was before the accident. Who doesn't pity me for what I lost. Who were you before? Someone who thought he had everything figured out. An alpha who believed strength meant never showing weakness. Declan's smile was bitter. The accident taught me better. Blaine made notes, watching Declan's micro-expressions. The tension in his jaw, the way his fingers tightened on the mug when talking about his late wife. Tell me about your perfect evening, Blaine said. With a potential partner? With anyone. What makes you happy? Declan considered, his scent warming slightly. Quiet. No crowds. Good food. Good conversation. Maybe music. Emma practicing piano in the next room. Knowing everyone I care about is safe. Someone's scent mixing with mine until I can't tell where they end and I begin. Blaine's breath caught. That last part, intimate. Deeply alpha. You're a homebody, he managed. I'm a realist. The world is loud and chaotic. Home is where I can navigate without struggling. Where scent and sound are enough. More notes. Blaine was building a profile, not just of what Declan wanted, but who he was beneath the walls. And trying very hard not to notice how much he fit that profile himself. Last question for today, Blaine said. Why now? Why agree to matchmaking after 5 years? Declan was quiet for a long moment. His scent went soft, vulnerable. Because Emma drew a picture last week. Her family. Me, her, and an empty space next to me labeled Daddy's person goes here. She's 8 years old and she's planning my love life because she thinks I'm too broken to do it myself. And that bothers you. That terrifies me. Because she might be right. Blaine closed his tablet. Looked at this man, wealthy, successful, clearly capable, who thought he was broken beyond repair. You're not broken, Blaine said quietly. You don't know that. I know you make your daughter feel safe enough to worry about your happiness. I know you've adapted to a disability that would destroy most people. I know you're sitting here having coffee with a stranger because you're willing to try. Blaine stood, catching another wave of Declan's cedar scent. That's not broken, Declan. That's brave. Declan looked up, at Blaine's shoulder, his neck, somewhere close to his face. His throat worked. When do we start? I'll have 3 preliminary matches by Friday. We'll set up meetings for next week, casual, low pressure. Coffee or lunch. See who connects. Blaine headed for the door, then paused. And Declan? I'm gonna find you someone. That's not optimism. It's a promise. You sound very certain. 94% success rate. I don't make promises I can't keep. As Blaine left, he felt Declan's gaze. Imprecise but weighted. Following him to the door. Felt the alpha scent clinging to his coat as he stepped out into the Chicago snow. This case was going to be complicated. Blaine was already invested, and he hadn't even officially started yet. The first match was Dr. Adrian Wells, a trauma surgeon, alpha, recently divorced, looking for something stable. Perfect on paper. Similar lifestyle, understood long hours, had his own daughter Emma's age. They met at a quiet bistro in Lincoln Park, Christmas lights twinkling in the windows. Blaine observed from a discreet distance, nursing coffee and pretending to work on his laptop. Within 20 minutes, Dr. Wells's phone started ringing. Emergency at Northwestern Memorial. He apologized profusely and left, his alpha scent spiking with stress. Coincidence? These things happened. The second match was Jimmy Reed, an art curator at the Art Institute, Omega, soft-spoken and thoughtful. He and Declan talked for an hour about installation pieces and modern sculpture at a cafe on Michigan Avenue, snow falling softly outside. It was going well. Their scents were even starting to blend pleasantly. Until Jimmy suddenly got violently ill and had to leave. Food poisoning, he claimed. His Omega distress sent sharp and genuine. The third match didn't show up at all. Car trouble in the snow, the apologetic text said. By the fourth failed meeting, Blaine was suspicious. By the fifth, he was certain. Someone was sabotaging his matches. He called Declan on December 28th, 3 days before his retirement party. We need to talk. They met at the penthouse again, Blaine's suggestion, because at least here they could control the environment. Someone's interfering, Blaine said without preamble, shaking snow from his coat. The apartment was warm, smelling of pine from a massive Christmas tree in the corner and Declan's cedar winter scent. 5 matches in 8 days. All failed for increasingly improbable reasons. Declan leaned against the kitchen counter, his alpha presence filling the space. You think it's deliberate? I think it's suspicious. The surgeon's emergency was real, but the hospital confirmed he'd asked for on-call coverage that night. The curator's food poisoning happened within minutes of eating food from a sealed menu. The car trouble victim's mechanic said his car was fine that morning. Someone's paying them off, or scaring them off, or both. Blaine paced, his Omega scent sharpening with frustration. The question is why. Maybe they found out about the prosopagnosia and got cold feet? All of them? In exactly the same way. Blaine shook his head. No, this is targeted. The apartment door opened, bringing a gust of cold air and fresh snow. Daddy! Mr. Blaine! Emma bounded in, school bag bouncing. Her young Omega scent bright with excitement. You're both here. Are you planning more dates? Blaine studied her, the too bright smile, the slightly guilty shift of her eyes, the way her scent flickered with nervousness. Emma, he said slowly, do you know anything about why my matches keep failing? What? No. Why would I? She stopped, bit her lip, her scent soured with guilt. Okay, maybe a little. Declan straightened, his alpha authority filling the room. Emma Hensley. I just wanted to help. She dropped her bag, and Blaine caught the sharp spike of her distress. All those people were wrong for you, Daddy. The doctor only talked about work and his scent was boring. The art guy was too Omega Y. The others didn't even laugh at your jokes. You sabotaged my dates? Declan's voice was carefully controlled, but his scent darkened. How? I called the hospital and said there was an emergency. I put laxatives in the art guy's water when he went to the bathroom. I deflated the other guy's tire before he left for the date. She said it matter-of-factly. They were all wrong, Daddy. None of them were right. None of them smelled right with you. Blaine felt a headache building. Emma, you can't just. But I was helping. You want Daddy to find someone perfect, right? Well, they weren't perfect. So I made them leave so you'd keep looking. Declan crouched down to her level, hands finding her shoulders by memory, his alpha scent wrapping around her protectively despite his anger. Baby, you can't interfere with people's lives like that. It's not okay. But, no buts. What you did was wrong. Do you understand? Emma's eyes filled with tears, her scent going sharp with distress. I just wanted you to be happy, to smell happy again like you used to. I know, but this isn't the way. Declan pulled her into a hug. Mr. Blaine is trying to help. You need to let him do his job. I'm sorry. Emma's voice was muffled against his shoulder. I'm really sorry. I know you are. Declan kissed her head. Go wash up for dinner. We'll talk about appropriate consequences later. Emma trudged off, and Declan stood, looking exhausted. His scent was heavy with frustration and old grief. I'm so sorry, he said to Blaine. I had no idea. She's 8 and she loves you. I understand the impulse. Blaine sat on the couch, watching snow fall over Lake Michigan through the windows. But we have a problem. I've burned through 5 matches in 8 days. I'm running out of time before retirement. and apparently we can't trust your daughter not to sabotage prospects. So what do? Blaine pulled out his tablet, already formulating a plan. We change tactics. Instead of individual dates, we do group events. My retirement party is New Year's Eve. There will be plenty of eligible alphas and omegas, even betas there. We can facilitate introductions in a controlled environment where Emma will be occupied. You want me to date at your retirement party? I want you to meet people in a low-pressure environment where Emma can see them interacting with you. Maybe if she's included, she'll stop trying to chase everyone away. Blaine made notes. We have 3 days until New Year's Eve. Let's make it count. You're very determined. I don't like failing, and I promised you I'd find someone. Blaine met his gaze, or tried to, even though Declan was looking somewhere past his shoulder. I keep my promises. Declan's expression shifted. Something vulnerable and hopeful. His scent softened, warming. I'm starting to believe that. Emma reappeared in the doorway. Can I come to the New Year's party too? Since I messed up the dates. Absolutely not, Declan said. But I promised I'd be good. And I want to help. And Mr. Blaine's scent is nice. I like how you smell together. Emma. Both men said simultaneously. She grinned, unrepentant. What? It's true. You do smell good together. Like winter and flowers. Blaine felt his face heat. Declan's scent spiked with something that might have been interest. Please, Daddy, Emma pressed. I'll wear my fancy dress and everything. Declan sighed, his alpha authority wavering under his daughter's Omega pleading. Blaine? Your professional opinion. Blaine looked at Emma's pleading eyes, at Declan's exhausted resignation, at the way their scents had started to blend in this space. Cedar and jasmine and vanilla sweetness. She can come, he heard himself say. But Emma, you sabotage even one conversation, and this whole thing is over. Understood. Emma nodded frantically, her scent brightening with joy. I promise. I'll be so good. Blaine wasn't sure he believed her, but he also wasn't sure he had a choice. Outside, Chicago's Christmas lights glittered against the falling snow, and Blaine tried very hard not to think about how right Emma was. They did smell good together. The next morning, Blaine woke to a text message. Declan, Emma is insisting we check on you. Something about making sure you're not sad and lonely on the second-to-last day of your career. Her words, not mine. Blaine smiled, warmth spreading through his chest. Blaine, I'm fine. Just packing up the office. Declan, she's not buying it. Neither am I. Coffee? There's a cafe near your office. Just company. If you want it. Blaine stared at the message for a long moment. This was dangerous territory. Spending time with a client outside of professional context. But what was the harm? 2 days left. No viable matches remaining. Just coffee. Blaine, Café Luca. Noon? Declan. Perfect. Café Luca was busy with the lunch crowd, holiday shoppers ducking in from the cold, their coats dusted with fresh snow. Blaine had been sitting for maybe 3 minutes when Declan walked in. The alpha paused at the entrance, head tilting slightly, scanning. Not with his eyes, but with his other senses. Then he turned directly toward Blaine's corner table, navigating through the crowded cafe with surprising precision. Blaine's breath caught. He'd been so focused on Declan's disability, on the professional aspects of their relationship, that he hadn't let himself really look at the man. But now, watching him approach, tall, broad-shouldered, moving with quiet confidence despite not being able to see faces, Blaine felt his Omega instincts wake up with a vengeance. Declan was beautiful. Handsome in a way that made Blaine's mouth go dry. Sharp jaw, dark hair slightly mussed from the wind. That scar along his temple that somehow made him more attractive instead of less. And the way he carried himself. Controlled, careful, but with an underlying strength that made Blaine's hindbrain sit up and pay attention. Alpha, his Omega instincts whispered. Strong alpha. Good alpha. Blaine shoved those thoughts down hard. Professional. Stay professional. You found me, Blaine said as Declan reached the table. You're not hard to find. Declan sat, and his scent, cedar and winter air, washed over Blaine, making his pulse quicken. Your scent is distinctive, and your voice carries in a way that's easy to track. Is that alpha speak for you're loud? It's alpha speak for I'd know you were here even in a room full of people. Declan smiled, and Blaine's stomach flipped. How's the packing going? Depressing. 10 years of my life in boxes. That sounds lonely. It is. Blaine wrapped his hands around his coffee cup. But it's necessary. Fresh start and all that. They fell into easy conversation about Emma's latest obsession with marine biology, about Declan's company's new sustainable energy project, about Chicago's ridiculous winter and whether this much snow was normal or if climate change was making everything unpredictable. Blaine found himself relaxing despite his Omega instinct's constant awareness of Declan's presence. The alpha was funny when he wasn't being careful, sharp-witted with a dry sense of humor that caught Blaine off guard. And the way he listened, head tilted slightly, completely focused, like Blaine's words were the only thing in the world that mattered, made Blaine feel seen in a way he hadn't experienced in years. Their scents were mingling in the small space, and Blaine noticed how well they fit together. Not overwhelming, not clashing, just complementary. Cedar and jasmine. Winter and spring. Alpha and Omega in perfect balance. He tried not to think about what that meant. "Can I ask you something?" Declan said eventually, his expression thoughtful. "Of course. Why matchmaking? What made you want to spend 10 years finding love for other people?" Blaine considered the question, watching snow fall outside the window. "I wanted to believe in happy endings. That there was someone for everyone. That loneliness was temporary. That love was real and findable if you just had the right system." He smiled self-deprecatingly. "Turns out I was better at finding it for others than for myself. Maybe you were looking in the wrong places. Maybe." Blaine met Declan's gaze, or tried to, watching his eyes track just to the left of Blaine's face. "What about you? 5 years alone. That's a long time for an alpha. I thought I was done. That I'd had my chance at love and lost it, and trying again would be disrespectful somehow." To her memory, Declan's scent shifted, something melancholy underneath. "But Emma was right. I've been lonely. I just didn't want to admit it. And now I'm starting to think maybe it's okay to want something for myself again." Declan's voice was quiet, careful. "Even if it scares me." Blaine's heart beat faster. There was something in the way Declan said it, something weighted and specific, that made his Omega instincts hum with interest. But this was a client. A man he was supposed to be helping find someone else. "That's good," Blaine managed. "Being open to possibilities. That's important." They talked for another hour about everything and nothing, the conversation flowing easily, punctuated by comfortable silences that didn't feel awkward. Blaine kept noticing small things. The way Declan's hands moved when he talked, confident and expressive, and Blaine noticed himself noticing. The way his Omega instincts kept trying to lean closer, to catalog every detail about this alpha. The way his heart raced when Declan laughed. The way he wanted to keep talking, keep sitting here, keep existing in this space where nothing was decided yet but everything felt possible. This was dangerous. This was exactly why he had rules about clients. When they finally stood to leave, Declan paused at the door. "The office packing. You're doing that alone tonight?" "That was the plan." "That's depressing." Declan's brow furrowed. "Let me help. I'm good at manual labor, and you could probably use the company. As a friend." Blaine should say no, should maintain boundaries for 48 more hours. But the thought of packing up 10 years alone suddenly felt unbearable. "As a friend," he confirmed. "As a friend," Declan agreed. "I promise to keep my hands to myself and not make anything weird." Blaine laughed despite himself. "Okay, yes, that would be nice." They spent the afternoon in Blaine's office, taking down frames and packing files, sorting through a decade of successful matches. Declan was surprisingly good at it, careful with the fragile items, methodical about organization, asking questions about different couples and their stories. This one, Declan held up a photo of 2 men at their wedding, both beaming. Chicago symphony violinist and a deaf ASL interpreter. Everyone said it wouldn't work because of the communication gap, but they were perfect for each other. Found ways to communicate that went beyond words. Blaine smiled at the memory. "They send me a Christmas card every year. You're good at this, seeing what other people miss." "I used to be." Blaine packed another box. "Now I'm just tired." They worked until the office was empty, just bare walls and boxes stacked neatly by the door. Declan insisted on carrying most of them down to Blaine's car, his alpha strength making light work of the heavy loads. "Thank you," Blaine said when they finished. "You didn't have to do all that." "I wanted to." Declan leaned against Blaine's car, snow dusting his shoulders. "Can I drive you home? Make sure you get there safely?" "I have my car." "I know, but my driver's here, and the roads are getting bad. Let him take us both. We'll get your car tomorrow." It was sensible, practical, and Blaine was exhausted, Okay. Yes. Thank you. The drive to Blaine's apartment in Wicker Park was quiet, comfortable. Declan's presence beside him in the back seat was warm, solid. His cedar scent filling the enclosed space until Blaine felt wrapped in it. When they pulled up to his building, Declan walked him to the door despite the snow. You didn't have to. I wanted to make sure you got in safely. Declan's smile was soft. That's what friends do, right? Right? Friends. Blaine fumbled with his keys, hyper-aware of Declan's proximity. His scent. The way his Omega instincts were screaming at him to invite this alpha inside. Thank you. For today. For everything. Anytime. Declan hesitated, then said carefully, Blaine, tomorrow night, the retirement party. Would it really be okay if Emma and I came? Not as clients. Just as friends supporting you through a big transition. Blaine's heart squeezed as he whispered, Yes, it's really okay. Declan's smile could have lit the whole city. Good. Then we'll see you tomorrow. He started to leave, then paused. Oh, and Blaine? Whatever comes after this. After retirement, after matchmaking, I hope you find what you're looking for. He left before Blaine could respond, disappearing into the snowy night, leaving Blaine standing in his doorway with his heart racing and his Omega instincts in chaos. Inside his apartment, Blaine leaned against the door, breathing hard. This was bad. This was very bad. Because he was absolutely, undeniably attracted to Declan Hensley. Not just professionally impressed, not just appreciating him as a person, but full body, Omega instinct, want him to pin me against a wall attracted. And he had no idea what to do about it. And just then his phone rang, making him jump. Unknown number. Hello. Blaine Goodwin. A woman's voice, professional. This is Patricia Whitmore. I'm a journalist with Chicago Magazine. I'm doing a feature on your retirement, the matchmaker who's made thousands of matches but never found his own. Would you be willing to comment? Blaine's stomach dropped. How did you? Your ex-boyfriend mentioned it in an interview few days ago. Said you were so focused on other people's happiness that you couldn't maintain your own relationship. I thought it would make an interesting angle for. Blaine hung up. His hands were shaking. The phone rang again. Different number. Mr. Goodwin, this is David Park from the Tribune. We'd love to talk about. He hung up again. And again when another call came through. His Omega scent was souring with panic, his heart racing. How many people had his ex talked to? How many articles were out there dissecting his failures, his loneliness, his inability to find what he'd helped thousands of others find? Another call. He let it go to voicemail. Then another. Then his assistant. Blaine, there are reporters calling the office asking about your love life. What do I tell them? Blaine sank onto his couch, head in his hands. 10 years of helping others find love. And tomorrow, everyone would celebrate his retirement by being reminded that he'd failed to find it himself. The irony was devastating. His phone buzzed. A text from Declan. Declan, just drove out of your complex. Emma wanted me to tell you she's excited for tomorrow. Also, thank you for letting me help today. I haven't felt useful in a long time. Blaine stared at the message, his Omega instincts screaming, his heart racing, his professional boundaries crumbling. He started pacing, phone clutched in his hand. He was falling for a client. He was falling for a client with less than 48 hours left in his career. He was falling for a client who was handsome and kind, and whose scent made Blaine want to build a nest and never leave. This was exactly what he'd spent 10 years avoiding. This was exactly what had destroyed his last relationship. This was. His apartment buzzer rang. Blaine jumped, pressing the intercom. Yes, it's Declan. I forgot my. A pause. Blaine, are you okay? You sound stressed. You're sent. Even through the intercom, I can smell distress. Blaine pressed his forehead against the wall. He should send Declan away. Should handle this alone. Should maintain professional distance for 47 more hours. Instead, he buzzed him up. Declan appeared at Blaine's door moments later, snow melting in his dark hair, concern written across his features. His alpha scent hit Blaine immediately. Protective, worried, searching. What happened? Declan stepped inside, closing the door behind him. Blaine, you're panicking. I can smell it from here. Blaine was still pacing, phone clutched in his hand. Reporters. They keep calling. My ex gave interviews about how I'm the matchmaker who can't find love. And now everyone wants a story about the irony of. His voice cracked. God. This is humiliating. Hey. Declan moved toward his voice, hands outstretched. Breathe. Just breathe. I can't. I spent 10 years building this reputation, helping people find happiness, and now everyone's going to know that I'm human. Declan's hands found his shoulders, gentle but grounding. That you're human and relationships are hard and sometimes even experts struggle? That I'm a failure. The words burst out. That's what they're going to write. The matchmaker who couldn't make his own relationship work. Who's retiring alone. Who spent a decade watching everyone else get happy endings while what? Declan's voice was soft, his alpha scent wrapping around Blaine protectively. While you gave everything to other people. While you sacrificed your own happiness to create theirs. Blaine's vision blurred. I don't know what I'm doing after tomorrow. I don't know who I am if I'm not the matchmaker. And everyone's going to be at that party watching me pretend I'm okay with being alone. And I'm not. I'm not okay with it anymore. Then don't be alone. Blaine looked up at Declan's face, his gaze tracking somewhere near Blaine's temple, his expression fierce and certain. What? Don't be alone tomorrow. Don't be alone after that. Declan's hands slid from Blaine's shoulders to frame his face, careful and sure. Let me be there. Let me be what you need. You're my client. No, I'm not. Declan's thumb traced his cheekbone. I was never really your client, Blaine. Emma hired you, yes. But from that first meeting, I wasn't looking for matches. I was looking at you. Blaine's breath caught, his Omega instincts singing. Declan, I know this is fast. I know it's complicated. But I can't watch you break down thinking you're alone when I'm right here wanting you so badly I can barely think straight. Declan's alpha scent spiked. Need and want and barely controlled desire. So tell me you don't feel this too, and I'll walk away. But if there's any chance at all, that you want this as much as I do, then say yes. Yes to what? Blaine whispered. Yes to letting me stay tonight. Yes to facing those reporters tomorrow together. Yes to seeing what happens when we stop pretending this is just professional. Declan's forehead pressed to his. Yes to me. Blaine's last thread of professional distance snapped. He kissed him. Declan made a sound low in his throat, surprise and relief and pure alpha satisfaction. Pulling Blaine closer until they were pressed together, sense tangling until Blaine couldn't tell where his jasmine ended and Declan's cedar began. The alpha's hands were gentle but desperate, like he was afraid Blaine would disappear. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Blaine pressed his face against Declan's shoulder, inhaling his scent, letting it calm the panic that had been building all evening. I can't be your client anymore, he whispered. No, Declan agreed, his hands stroking through Blaine's hair. You can't. So what are we doing? Whatever we want. Declan pulled back slightly, his gaze landing somewhere near Blaine's cheekbone. I'm terminating the contract. Right now. Officially. And then we're two people who are attracted to each other, figuring out what that means. Blaine laughed shakily. That simple? That simple. Declan's smile was soft. Unless you want it to be complicated? It's already complicated. My ex is giving interviews. Reporters are calling. Everyone at tomorrow's party is going to know I'm the matchmaker who failed at his own love life. Then let's give them a different story. Declan's hands found his face again. The matchmaker who spent 10 years helping everyone else find love. And then finally, let someone find him. Blaine's heart was pounding so loud he was sure Declan could hear it. You make it sound easy. Nothing about this is easy. But it's right. Declan's alpha scent wrapped around him, warm and certain. I'm supposed to maintain professional boundaries. You maintained them perfectly. For 10 days, you did your job, tried to find me matches. Kept everything professional despite feeling this too. Declan's thumb traced his jaw. But tomorrow you're not a matchmaker anymore. Tomorrow you're just Blaine. And I want to know Blaine. Want to take him to dinner, make him laugh, show him what it's like to be chosen instead of always doing the choosing. Tears slipped down Blaine's cheeks. This is a terrible idea. Probably. Emma's going to be insufferable. Definitely. And those reporters. Let them write whatever they want. We'll know the truth. Declan pulled him closer. That you're not a failure. That you're brave and brilliant and you deserve everything you've been giving to everyone else. Blaine buried his face in Declan's shoulder, breathing him in, letting himself believe it. Stay, he whispered. Please stay. As long as you'll let me. They stood there in Blaine's small apartment, wrapped around each other, scents blending until the whole space smelled like them. I should call my assistant. Blaine said eventually. Tell her to redirect the reporters. Handle the press. Or, Declan suggested, you could let me handle it. My company has a PR team. We can release a statement, brief, professional, shutting down the speculation. You'd do that. I'd do a lot more than that. Declan's smile was wicked. I'd buy the magazine your ex gave interviews to and fire everyone involved. But that seems excessive for a first date. Blaine laughed despite himself. This isn't a first date. No, this is. Blaine pulled back to look at him. At this alpha who recognized him by scent and voice, who was offering protection and partnership and everything Blaine had been afraid to want. This is something better. Good. Declan kissed him again. Softer this time. Now, do you have food? Because I'm starving and I'm not leaving you alone tonight. So we might as well eat. They ordered Thai food and sat on Blaine's couch, talking until midnight. About everything and nothing. About fears and hopes and what came after tomorrow. And kissing some more. Desperate to fuse their mouths together in ways Blaine never imagined possible as their scents mixed violently. And slowly, wrapped in cedar and certainty, Blaine's panic faded. By the time Declan left, late, reluctantly, with promises to see him tomorrow, Blaine felt different. Lighter, ready. Not for retirement but for whatever came next. And what came next smelled like winter and cedar and home. The community center was decorated with silver and gold streamers, fairy lights strung across the ceiling, and tables laden with food and champagne. Blaine's retirement party was in full swing. 40 guests milling around, talking and laughing, celebrating 10 years of successful matches. Blaine stood near the refreshment table, hyper-aware of Declan beside him, both trying to look casual while their scents betrayed everything. They're staring, Declan murmured, his hand finding Blaine's lower back. Of course they're staring. We smell like we spent last night together. We did spend last night together. Talking. We spent last night talking. Blaine accepted a champagne glass from a passing server. My assistant has asked me 3 times if something changed with my last client. What did you tell her? That it's none of her business. Blaine smiled. And that I terminated the contract yesterday. Very professional. Before Blaine could respond, Emma appeared, dragging a tall Omega woman by the hand. Mr. Blaine. Daddy. This is Mrs. Patterson. She teaches art at my school and she's single and she smells like paint and coffee and... Emma stopped mid-sentence, her nose wrinkling. Her young Omega instincts were sharper than any adult's. Wait. She looked between them, scenting obviously, her eyes going wide. You smell like each other, she said slowly. Emma, Declan started. You smell like each other. Her voice rose with excitement. Like you've been scenting. Like mates do. Mrs. Patterson backed away quickly, clearly wanting no part of whatever was about to happen. The room went quiet. 40 pairs of eyes turned toward them. Blaine felt his face heat, his Omega scent spiking with embarrassment. Emma, maybe we should discuss this. I knew it. Emma shrieked, her young voice carrying across the entire space. I knew you were perfect for each other. I could smell it the whole time. That's why I kept sabotaging the dates. Because none of them smelled right with Daddy, but you did. You planned this. Blaine asked weakly. Of course I planned this. Emma was bouncing now, her scent bright with pure joy. Well, not exactly planned, but I knew. From that first day in your office when you smelled nervous and kind and like you understood being lonely. I knew you'd be perfect for Daddy. Declan's hand tightened on Blaine's back, his alpha scent wrapping protectively around him despite the audience. Emma, you can't just... But I was right. She turned to the crowd, arms spread wide. Everyone. Mr. Blaine found Daddy's perfect match. It's him. He's the match. The room erupted. Applause. Laughter. Someone whistling. The kind of recognition that came from people who'd found their own matches and could spot it in others. Looking around the room, Blaine saw knowing smiles. Approving nods. Couples leaning into each other and remembering their own beginnings. Well, Blaine said finally, his heart racing as he raised his champagne glass. I suppose this is as good a time as any to make an announcement. The room quieted again, expectant. 10 years ago, I became a matchmaker because I believed in love. In finding the person whose scent complements yours, whose voice makes your heart race, whose presence makes everything else fade away. Blaine looked at Declan, at this alpha who'd found him when he'd stopped looking. I've spent a decade creating happy endings for other people. And I'm retiring because I finally found my own. Declan's sense spiked with emotion, surprise and hope and something deeper. This man, my last official client before we terminated our contract yesterday, taught me that sometimes the perfect match isn't the one you're looking for. It's the one you're too scared to see. Blaine's voice steadied. So yes, Emma's right. I found her father's perfect match. And against every professional boundary I've ever maintained, it's me. The room erupted again. Louder this time, cheers and applause and someone shouting, "Finally!" Emma launched herself at both of them, her small Omega scent blending with theirs, creating something that smelled like family. "This is the best New Year's Eve ever." Declan laughed, pulling them both close, his alpha scent warm and satisfied. "Sweetheart, you're taking way too much credit for this." "I deserve credit. I hired him. I sabotaged the other dates. I made you realize you loved each other." The word hung in the air. Love. Blaine's breath caught. Declan's hands tightened on him. "We were going to figure it out eventually," Blaine protested weakly. "You were both being stubborn." Emma pulled back, looking between them with the seriousness only an 8-year-old could manage. "So does this mean Mr. Blaine is going to be my other parent?" Blaine's heart stopped. His Omega instinct sang with longing, with the rightness of it, but his practical brain was screaming that it was too fast, too soon, too much. "That's..." He looked at Declan helplessly. "We've only been together for about 20 hours, Declan supplied, his voice carefully neutral. "Give or take. Right? 20 hours. So maybe we should." "I want him to be..." Emma interrupted, her young Omega certainty cutting through Blaine's panic. "His scent makes you smell happy, Daddy. Really happy. Like you used to before Mama died. And Mr. Blaine smells less sad when you're around." The room was completely silent now, everyone watching this private moment play out in public. Blaine felt exposed, vulnerable, his Omega scent probably broadcasting every conflicted emotion. Declan's hand found his face, gentle and sure. "Emma, that's a big decision. But you love him, right?" She looked between them, her young nose reading what all the adults in the room could probably smell. "I can smell it. You love each other already. It's all over both of you." Blaine's Omega instincts knew she was right. 20 hours, 10 days, it didn't matter. His biology had recognized Declan as his from that first meeting, cedar and winter air wrapping around him like coming home. "Yes," Declan said quietly, his gaze fixed somewhere near Blaine's temple. "I love him." Blaine's breath caught, his heart hammered, his Omega scent spiked with shock and want and terrified hope. "Declan, I know it's fast. I know it's terrifying. But I can't see faces, Blaine. I see everything else. And what I see when you're near me is light, safety, home." Declan's alpha scent wrapped around him, vulnerable and honest. "So yes, Emma, I love him." Tears pricked Blaine's eyes. "You're supposed to let me find you someone perfect. You did. You found me you. I'm bossy and controlling and I have no idea what I'm doing after tonight. You're brilliant and kind and you see people the way I do. Not their faces, but their hearts." Declan pulled him closer, oblivious to their audience. "And I don't care what you do after tonight, as long as I get to be part of it." Emma tugged on Blaine's sleeve. "So is that a yes? You'll be my other parent." Blaine looked at this child who'd walked into his office 11 days ago with a check and a plan. At this alpha who recognized him by scent and voice and made him believe in his own happy ending. At the room full of couples he'd matched, all watching with knowing smiles, all remembering their own leaps of faith. 10 years of creating perfect matches, and he'd never seen his own until it found him. "Yes," Blaine whispered, his Omega scent blooming with joy and terror and absolute certainty. "Yes, I'll be your other parent. If your father will have me." "I'll have you," Declan said immediately, his alpha scent flooding with satisfaction. "Today, tomorrow, for as long as you'll let me." Emma squealed, launching herself at them again, and the room erupted in cheers. Someone started counting down. 10 seconds to midnight, to the new year, to everything changing. Declan pulled Blaine closer, his hand finding Blaine's jaw with perfect precision. "Happy New Year," he whispered against Blaine's mouth. "Happy New Year," Blaine whispered back. And as midnight struck, as Chicago rang in the new year outside the windows, they kissed, deep and claiming and absolutely perfect. Their scents tangled together, cedar and jasmine and Emma's vanilla sweetness, creating something that smelled like family, like home, like everything Blaine had spent 10 years helping others find. On New Year's Day, Blaine woke up in Declan's bed, The penthouse bedroom with its view of frozen Lake Michigan. Morning light streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows. Chicago's skyline glittering with fresh snow. Declan's alpha scent surrounded him, thick and satisfied, mingled with his own Omega contentment until the whole room smelled like them. "You're thinking too loud," Declan murmured against his shoulder. "I'm thinking about how I'm unemployed now. No career, no plan, no idea what comes next." Declan's arm tightened around his waist. "Terrible problem. I'm serious. So am I." Declan pressed a kiss to his neck, his alpha scent warming with affection. "You're brilliant at reading people, at understanding what they need. You could do anything." "Like what?" "Like help me. My company has a human resources problem. We're terrible at hiring, at building teams, at understanding what makes people work well together." Declan shifted, propping himself up to look at Blaine, at his shoulder, his neck, somewhere close to his face. "You could consult. Build compatibility assessments for corporate teams. Use everything you know about matching people, but in a different context." Blaine turned to face him. "You're offering me a job? I'm offering you a partnership, in business and in life." Declan's hand found his face, gentle and sure. "What do you say?" Before Blaine could answer, small footsteps thundered down the hall. "It's New Year's Day." Emma burst through the door, launching herself onto the bed between them. "We're supposed to make resolutions." "Emma," Declan groaned, but his alpha scent was warm with amusement. "It's 7 in the morning. I already made mine. I resolved to be the best daughter ever and not sabotage anything for a whole year." She grinned at Blaine. "What's yours, Mr. Blaine? Can I call you Papa yet?" Blaine's heart clenched, his Omega instincts singing with rightness. "You can call me whatever you want, sweetheart." "Papa it is." She snuggled between them, her young Omega scent blending with theirs until the whole bed smelled like family. "So what's your resolution?" Blaine looked at Declan. This alpha who saw him without seeing his face, who'd chosen him despite every professional boundary, who made him believe in happy endings again. "My resolution," Blaine said slowly, "is to stop being afraid of my own happiness." Declan's scent bloomed with warmth. "Good resolution. And to be a good partner, in business and in life." "Does that mean you'll take the job?" Emma asked hopefully. "It means I'll think about it." Blaine smiled. "Seriously?" "That's a yes," Declan said confidently, his alpha certainty absolute. "How do you know?" "Because your scent just went from anxious to excited. You do that when you're trying not to admit you want something." Blaine laughed, pressing his face into Declan's shoulder. "You're very observant for someone who can't see faces." "I see everything that matters." Declan's hand stroked through his hair. "And what I see is us. This, every morning for as long as you'll have me." Emma made a gagging sound. "You're both so mushy. You literally plotted to get us together," Blaine pointed out. "That doesn't mean I want to watch you be gross about it." They laughed, and Blaine felt something settle deep in his chest. This was real. This family, this alpha, this child who'd orchestrated everything. It was all real and his and perfect. "So," Declan said eventually, "what do we do today?" "Pancakes," Emma announced. "Papa needs to learn our New Year's Day pancake tradition." "I'm already Papa? You said I could call you whatever I want." "I want Papa." She looked at him seriously. "Is that okay?" Blaine's throat tightened. "It's more than okay, sweetheart. It's perfect." They made pancakes together, Declan measuring by touch and memory, Emma directing Blaine on where everything was kept, all three of them bumping into each other in the kitchen, laughing when flour ended up everywhere. Their scents blended until the whole penthouse smelled like them. Cedar and jasmine and vanilla, alpha and omega and young omega, family and home and new beginnings. And it smelled exactly right. The end? Merry Christmas, everyone. May real and true love find you this holiday season. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the story, tell me where you'll be spending this holiday season or how you plan to enjoy it. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the comments.